Welcome back to 02 Million Crypto. My name is GC. We are live. Yes, we are live. Joining me as I'm on my way to Quebec to deliver a couple packages. Today, let's talk about a few different topics in the crypto market. I have three in particular I wanted to talk about today, and the first one being, let's cover how Bitcoin has just hit its all-time high before coming back down the last couple hours, and showing that it can't really hold where its all-time high was as of right now. So Bitcoin earlier today, March 5th, 2024, we surpassed Bitcoin's previous all-time high, which was in November of 2021. Now, I was watching the charts live as this was happening, and it's interesting to me that we got so quickly to the all-time high in regards to the time frame of where we are in our cycle right now for Bitcoin and crypto, because Bitcoin doesn't really get to its all-time high this quickly usually before the halving event. And if you don't know what the halving event is, it's basically the same requirement of power and electricity to mine half the Bitcoin. And this happens every 4 years. So I forget the exact number of Bitcoin miners get per block. I believe it's 6.5 right now. So when the halving event occurs in a few months from now, which I believe it's in mid-April or early April, somewhere around there, miners, I believe, will only make 3.25 for every block that they mine, instead of 6.5. And this is something that a lot of people don't understand, that when you have an event such as the halving event, making Bitcoin even more deflationary, and you're seeing the prices of Bitcoin rise to all-time highs, or like I said, we are only a couple hundred points below the all-time high as of right now, as we had a pullback as soon as we hit that all-time high or surpassed it earlier today. But you got to understand that Bitcoin, it's showing strength right now for many, many reasons, different reasons. But what we got to understand is, for Bitcoin to be showing this much strength, and the halving event and all these different events coming up, such as the US elections, the rate cuts that we're probably going to see later this year, just overall FOMO into the markets, and for almost every market, as all market cycles are cyclical, and even though Bitcoin will go up at a different rate than, let's say, the S&P 500 in the stock market, most markets all tend to move up at the same time, and we're in a very, very good place when it comes to cryptocurrency. But I also want to talk about some of the things people are feeling, some of the feelings that are going around in the market. If you are a younger crypto investor, or newer to the game of investing in cryptocurrency, you're not going to understand what I mean when I say this, when I say that no one is getting rich off a 3 to 4x for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin was at 15,500 in late 2022 at the bottom, and we're seeing Bitcoin at about 70,000 US currently, what you got to understand is that this bull run for Bitcoin that I believe has just began. Others may argue that we have just seen the meat of the bull run in the last few weeks. But what I would argue is that seeing Bitcoin go up this much in such a short period of time kind of pays homage to the people that have been investing in Bitcoin for years and years now. And a lot of people are starting to get that feeling of being priced out of Bitcoin as a retail investor. I understand this mentality. I understand why people would feel like they're priced out of Bitcoin at this point, seeing how Bitcoin is at $70,000 US, around that price point, $65,000 to $70,000 US, and $60,000 to $70,000 US as a dollar figure is nothing to sneeze at. If you're thinking about an investment such as Bitcoin that came out in like 2009, 2010 kind of era, for only about 14 to 15 years later, from a price point of absolutely nothing to 70,000 US dollars, well, that is very significant in itself. And what a lot of people need to start understanding when it comes to investing or buying assets in general is that it doesn't really matter what the price point of the asset that you're purchasing is at the moment. The only thing you need to worry about is what kind of percentage increase you can expect, and researching prior to when you have bought the asset, how much has the asset increased in value so far. Now, the percentage number that Bitcoin has increased since its inception, since it was invented in 2009, 2010, is astronomical and probably incalculable. So what you got to learn is, or what you got to realize as a crypto investor, maybe someone that doesn't necessarily like to buy Bitcoin more than others, which is a perfect example of myself. I mean, I haven't bought as much Bitcoin as I've bought altcoins in my entire crypto journey so far. But we say this in almost every live stream or video that I make, that buying Bitcoin seems to be the greatest move, the smartest move, when you are in the depths of a bear market or emerging into a bull market like we've saw for the past year or so. And the reason for this is because Bitcoin likes to, or tends to, move first before the rest of the altcoins in a very significant manner, before the rest of the altcoins tend to follow, and before the altcoins tend to get their massive pushes upwards that we haven't really seen as much as we've saw Bitcoin show and prove that it continues to be the strongest asset when times are tough, when it comes to inflation, money in general, and all markets. So, like I said, Bitcoin is one of those things, or all assets that have a dollar value stuck to them, because every asset on earth has a dollar value. Just because Bitcoin is at $70,000 US, around that price point, doesn't mean that it's a bad buy. And because the price seems expensive to the average retail investor, $70,000 seems expensive, even compared to something like Ethereum that's only in the single thousands. I believe it's around in the $3,000 range at the moment. Retail investors are going to be tantalized to buy something like Ethereum just because they think it's cheaper and they think it has more upside potential. And I would agree with the sentiment that Ethereum, as an example, has more upside potential, and it is a risk versus reward type of weighing game, if you will, when it comes to choosing which cryptocurrency you want to invest in. But just because Bitcoin is at 70,000 doesn't make it a bad investment at the time, because yes, we have seen Bitcoin increase large amounts very recently, and yes, 70,000 seems to be such a large number for someone with only a couple hundred or a couple $1,000s to invest into a market. But if you could see Bitcoin reaching $250,000 at some point in this bull run, or even further than that, then you're looking at over a 3 to 4x from this standpoint, even after Bitcoin has already put in a 3 to 4x from its bottom. And what you should be looking for as an investor, what you should be chasing, maybe chasing isn't the greatest word, because I don't advise chasing assets or price points or pumps for that matter, but what you should be chasing, in a sense, is percentage gains. You want to be looking for what asset is going to give you the largest percentage gain to your portfolio without having to go too risky to the point where you could lose everything. Now, Bitcoin isn't the largest percentage of my portfolio when it comes to different cryptocurrencies and assets that I own, but I realized that, or I've realized more and more over time, especially as of late, that if you don't put a significant amount of money into Bitcoin, whether you believe that's 20, 30, 50% or more of your portfolio, having that value just in Bitcoin alone, you will tend to miss the beginning of a bull run pump that could actually give you a head start on the rest of the altcoin market when that side of the market tends to move upwards significantly, which, like I said, usually follows an initial Bitcoin bull run of its own, which we've just seen. So you got to get that out of your head when it comes to price points. You got to start looking at assets as if they're a coiled spring. If you do believe that we are entering into a bull market, or that we are continuing a bull market from now into the future, the foreseen future, you have to try to weigh your options more as if, where can I put my money to get X percentage gain, whatever type of gain you're looking for, without having to risk putting all your money into something as risky as a meme coin or something to that level or nature. Bitcoin right now is seeing such a massive inflow of money, and this is before all the ETFs really have gotten all their money into the markets. This is before a lot of crucial things have even happened for Bitcoin. We're sitting pretty right now if you're a Bitcoin investor, not necessarily as an altcoin investor, but which ties me into my next point, that we have entities such as Grayscale, but not necessarily Grayscale, it's more of their sister company, Genesis, that has been selling millions and millions, in fact, hundreds of millions of Bitcoin in dollar value per day, US dollar value, that is. The last week or so, we saw them sell about $1 billion over the course of the entire week in Bitcoin. And look, we're still nearing or trying to get back to that all-time high level and surpass it, even with entities like Genesis, selling boatloads of Bitcoin. I believe the only way to understand how that price is being counteracted is, at the same time, you have large FOMO from institutions, maybe behind the scenes, or some of these hedge funds like BlackRock trying to catch up when it comes to their Bitcoin holdings to an entity like MicroStrategy, run by Michael Saylor, who has just announced that he's trying to build a $600 million he's trying to build a $600 million investment towards Bitcoin as of right now, even though we're seeing it hit an all-time high as of today. And Michael Saylor is like this. He tends to buy Bitcoin even when the price seems to be doing extremely well in the moment. And that's something that you have to understand, that some people and some entities are so bullish on Bitcoin, for example, Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy, that even when Bitcoin or most Bitcoin holders are going to be looking at Bitcoin maybe to sell off most of their investment because they saw such a large gain in a small period of time, Michael Saylor is doing the opposite and accumulating more, as he believes, and as I believe, and as many people believe, and institutions obviously believe, that Bitcoin's ceiling is so much higher, and this is only the beginning, and who knows where this price can ultimately end up by the end of this bull run. And like we talked about in previous videos as well, most of the time, most investors that have invested into Bitcoin understood, or in crypto in general, have understood that most of the bull runs in the past were led by retail, as crazy as that may seem. This is the first cycle that we're really truly seeing, where we're learning that institutions are finally giving Bitcoin the push it needs to get to that next level, of where it could possibly be to take over the financial system by the horns. And another interesting thing that happened that a lot of people thought may never happen was the market cap of Bitcoin surpassed the market cap of silver. And silver is obviously not as big as gold. Silver isn't as big as some of these massive companies, for example, like Google and a few other companies. I believe Microsoft is bigger than silver as well. But just understanding that Bitcoin, a digital network, a blockchain ecosystem, is worth more overall than all of the silver in the world is something, it's actually crazy to think about, because silver has been around for as long as silver has been around, as long as people have found this natural resource on planet Earth. And it's always possible to find more silver in the real world. But we all know that Bitcoin is, there's only a set amount of Bitcoin. And if there's only a certain amount of Bitcoin, and we're learning that there's lost Bitcoin out there, there's Bitcoin wallets that will never be touched again, never move, you can consider that as dead Bitcoin, where it's out there but won't ever be touched again, which only helps the supply and demand factor of Bitcoin in general. And the beauty of that is, the beauty of something like Bitcoin passing silver gives people more confidence to invest in something like a cryptocurrency, in digital assets, and makes them understand that now, something that was created, an idea of a digital currency, a digital asset, is worth more than an actual precious metal you could find in the real world, like something that you could actually touch, something that was used in previous currencies in the past to give their physical currency value. I mean, silver was in many different currencies, coins, actually physically within the coins, so that the coin itself wouldn't just have a, for example, paper value rather than actual physical value of itself. So we're in a very important time for Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin is in an unbelievable state right now, and which brings me back to the point, though, people that have been investing in Bitcoin and only have a large sum of money in Bitcoin, these people aren't getting rich off Bitcoin. These people are learning that this new digital world we're in, you can multiply the amount of money that you own by believing in a different system entirely, by understanding that Bitcoin can change your life for the better. Even if it can't make you a millionaire in only a few years, it could propel you to a certain place in your life where you're so much more financially well off. You just got to get through the peaks and valleys before you see a bull run like we saw in these past couple weeks. I mean, Bitcoin literally went up thousands and thousands of dollars since the beginning of this year, and most people that have been investing in Bitcoin understand that this is the nature of the game, and you can't escape the volatility, upwards volatility, if you're not willing to put your chips in when times may seem tough and it may seem like the markets are never going to increase. So, Genesis selling $1 billion worth of Bitcoin in a week, and Bitcoin's price is barely affected. Well, a question that I heard someone ask, which is, a very important one, in my opinion, is what happens when the selling stops? What happens when they start buying again on top of all these other institutions and big wealth managers? What happens when all of these entities are buying at the same time and the selling pressure is basically non-existent? Well, there's always going to be someone selling Bitcoin. There's always going to be someone trying to take profits, and taking profits never hurt nobody, unless you're taking your entire investment into liquid cash. There's always an opportunity to make more money, even though you took profits on, let's say, half of your investment. If you take profits on half of your Bitcoin investment right now, from whatever price points that you've bought in the past, clearly you're probably up, unless every purchase you made was at the previous all-time high back in November 2021, but that's probably not the case. So most people, as of right now, are in a state where they're in the profit when it comes to buying Bitcoin. Now, that probably can't be said for all altcoins at the current moment, but if you look at a coin like Ethereum right now, there is massive momentum behind Ethereum, and it's increasing at a rapid rate even as we speak. Even today, it's outperforming Bitcoin, and that's important. It's important to see something like Ethereum, a cryptocurrency ecosystem like Ethereum, thrive, even though we're not necessarily in the altcoin bull run that everyone expects to see after Bitcoin kind of takes a breather. So yes, we're in a good state when it comes to Bitcoin. We're in a good position, and I'm happy to see all-time highs. I'm happy to see us get this bull run thing going, and it's only the beginning of 2024. But we have to understand that, it's okay to be bearish in the short term by looking at these charts that we're seeing right now where the prices increase so much. I mean, if you take an all chart, what I mean by the all chart is zooming out. If you're looking at a chart of Bitcoin, zooming out so you can see it from the beginning to today, beginning to end, we're looking at Bitcoin literally shooting up in value so significantly, so quickly that it's pretty logical to want to take profits at this point. And if you're thinking about holding on for a higher price point for Bitcoin, that's not necessarily a bad idea. Sure, the markets could cool off for a couple weeks, even months, but we saw Bitcoin do what it's supposed to do. We're seeing it become that true hedge against inflation, even though there's a large period of time. It could take a year or two before Bitcoin shows any kind of life. And that's what cryptocurrency is all about. It's sticking with the program, even though it may seem tough at the current moment. Well, not necessarily at the current moment, but at times in your cryptocurrency journey, you're going to experience these emotions of saying, why am I in this market when the cryptocurrency that I'm investing into never moves up or always stays flat, and it costs me to feed to even buy this stuff? Why am I even doing it? Cryptocurrency, when you invest in cryptocurrency, even though it's called currency is in the name, it can be hard to access your capital. It can be hard to access your money. If every business in the world took cryptocurrency as payment, maybe this wouldn't be such a huge problem. But we're not in that phase yet. We're not in the phase of, buying cryptocurrency and using it when you go, buy groceries. We're not there yet as an industry. So very important that we pass the all-time high today. We're showing strength as investors. We're showing that the bears can only keep the price down for so long before they basically give in to the bulls. And I do believe that even though we surpassed the all-time high today, we could come down for months. after seeing the nature of these crypto markets, you have to assume the worst and hope for the best, because I've definitely seen the worst of this market. I probably wouldn't have seen the worst. I wouldn't have seen it as bad if I invested more into Bitcoin than some of the altcoins through this most recent bear market. But that definitely wasn't the case for my own personal experience. I made a mistake by doing that, and I've definitely learned to hedge my bets for the overall crypto market by, just purchasing a certain amount of Bitcoin when I do get my hands on some fiat capital. And if I do tend to buy altcoins, at least I have some of that wealth put into Bitcoin to kind of protect myself if the markets do take a turn for the worse. So it's good to be positive. It's good to be in a mindset where you're bullish. It's good to feel bullish. It's good to feel bullish after an extended period of bear price action. We're seeing the prices go up. It should want to make you buy more of the asset that you believe has the opportunity to keep increasing in value. But at the same time, we need to understand that pullbacks and breathers are necessary and could give you another opportunity at some prices lower than where we are now. Take those profits while we're up now, use that capital to reinvest. And those are the people that get ahead in this market. Those are the people that know how to navigate not just cryptocurrency, but investing in general. Not get too greedy when the market's hot, and not get too bearish when the market is in a funk. And try not to be too emotional about your actions when it comes to, pressing that buy button or sell button, especially in a volatile market like cryptocurrency. So the last topic I wanted to talk about today is just that, weighing your options. Now, a lot of people can look at the altcoin market as a complete gamble, and I understand this mindset. I understand looking at altcoins and saying, well, this altcoin seems to have a lot of good fundamentals behind it, or this altcoin, for example, seems to have a lot of good things going for it. They got a good team. Just hypothetically speaking, any altcoin can seem to have, all their ducks in a row and prepared for, a future where they can be involved in this cryptocurrency sphere and actually have a purpose and utility and become popular and stay popular and actually have people use them in this new digital asset space. But what you have to understand is when investing into the altcoins is that you have Bitcoin, which is proven, which I do believe will continue to be the gold standard for currency in general for years to come. So you have Bitcoin, which isn't an altcoin, but although Bitcoin tends to be the biggest and least volatile asset out of the entire crypto space, it's still a cryptocurrency and it's still very profitable. And just the idea of Bitcoin alone, without it, probably wouldn't have given birth to this crypto market that we see today. But buying an altcoin, the first question you should ask yourself isn't, does this project have good fundamentals? Is this cryptocurrency worth buying at this price point? The main question you should be asking yourself when buying an altcoin is, does this altcoin have the opportunity to outperform Bitcoin? And the reason you should ask yourself that is because if the altcoin that you're buying doesn't have the opportunity to outperform Bitcoin, then why are you buying it in the first place? Now, the argument that many people that buy any kinds of altcoins, especially very small market cap altcoins that you would probably consider a micro cap coin, the reason the argument that people would make to buy these coins in the first place, these altcoins, is because they could see it increasing in value tremendously in a very short period of time. Now, the problem with this is if you were to make a comparison between, let's say, an altcoin like Cardano. compared to one of these new random meme coins that just came on to the scene. Let's give an example. Maybe not too relatively new, but let's talk about a meme coin like Pepe that came out, I believe, last year at some point. So you have an altcoin like Cardano and you have an altcoin like Pepe, excuse me. Now, Cardano is a layer 1 blockchain that is trying to compete with the likes of Ethereum. Now, that is no small task. Although Ethereum is smaller than Bitcoin, it's still a massive ecosystem. It's a massive cryptocurrency. It's important to the entire cryptocurrency space because with Ethereum, with the success of Ethereum since its birth in 2015, which was only 9 years ago, compared to 15 years ago, which was the beginning of Bitcoin's when Bitcoin was first born. Ethereum's not even 10 years old yet, and we've seen massive success, for Ethereum in these short 10 years. Now, a cryptocurrency like Cardano, to even try to kind of take a market share from Ethereum, try to compete in any way in that kind of regard, it better be built to last. It better be an ecosystem that can handle the type of traffic that Ethereum experiences on a daily basis. It needs to be it needs to be structured in a manner that can actually be used by the general public when crypto gets more adoption and more traffic and more people using cryptocurrencies and digital assets on these blockchains. A blockchain doesn't just have success without really strong fundamentals and a strong team working to keep that blockchain in pristine condition. And this is why I don't like projects or cryptocurrencies like Solana, because when I see the entire network shut down for periods of time that are longer than even a day, that puts me off, and that doesn't give me any confidence for the cryptocurrency, for that particular cryptocurrency, for its future. But that's a whole topic for another video. Right now, we're just going to compare some cryptocurrency like Cardano to a meme coin that came out last year. If you don't know, Cardano has been around since 2017. Only 2 years later than Ethereum. Maybe it hasn't seen the exact same success that Ethereum has from a price standpoint, but it still has some success from the previous bull runs nonetheless. So buying Cardano, I feel a lot safer buying Cardano compared to some random meme coin, because I know that Cardano, I've done my research on Cardano. I know that it is built in a manner that is supposed to be able to, take the majority of, people that are interested in layer 1 blockchains and give them an opportunity to use a functioning cryptocurrency that isn't really in danger of going belly up tomorrow. When you weigh your options when it comes to altcoins, investing in an altcoin like Cardano would probably be one of the top altcoins fundamentally, or when it comes to its fundamentals, and when it comes to digging into projects that are actually worth buying. And the ultimate question, will it outperform Bitcoin? I can give Cardano a resounding yes to answer that question, because Bitcoin is still going to increase in value. It's still going to have its day, and it's probably primed to increase a lot more and go much further than what it's hit as of late. Even though it's hit its all-time high today, I can see Bitcoin going a lot higher from here. Not exactly sure what number it may land on for a top of this bull market, but I'm pretty sure that Bitcoin will continue to grow and excel in this bull run that we're in now. But Cardano, if it gets the adoption, and the main word is if, But if it does get the adoption that, or gets the institutions behind it, and these institutions understand that Cardano as an ecosystem is built for the future when it comes to, layer one transactions and trying to be, a cryptocurrency network that is meant to handle a large majority of wealth flowing in and out of it, and all kinds of different, use cases, from games to peer-to-peer transactions to NFTs to just about anything that you could expect on a layer one blockchain. Cardano is trying to be that, and if you've done your research on Cardano, you'll understand that putting your money, your hard-earned money, into an altcoin like Cardano, even though it is an altcoin and even though it is still risky, is a lot. Probably, I won't be 100% on this, but it's probably a lot safer than putting your your fiat money into an altcoin or a meme coin. Meme coins are still altcoins, but they're in another whole nother category on their own. Putting all your money into a meme coin like Pepe is probably a lot more risky than putting your money into an altcoin like Cardano. And you can usually tell which altcoins have either been around or have stood the test of time by looking at their market caps. But this isn't always true, because there are new cryptocurrencies that probably came out last year or the year before that have a lot higher market caps than some cryptocurrencies that have been around for a while. But this is where you need to do your research, and the longer that you study, the longer that you're in cryptocurrency and studying which cryptocurrencies are worth even taking a look at, you'll realize that the longer a cryptocurrency has been around, more likely it's going to have a higher market cap than the majority of the cryptocurrencies out there. And if not, you're going to understand that just name recognition alone, or standing the test of time in these volatile markets, which is a harder thing to do than you may think. Staying alive in cryptocurrency as an altcoin project is difficult. A lot of projects go belly up, or not necessarily belly up, but they never really hit their all-time highs of the previous bull run, and that is the definition to me of a dead project. When an altcoin, goes to a certain price point in the previous bull run, and the next bull run comes around and it doesn't even get to the price point or exceed the price point that it reached in the previous bull run, that's when a project isn't really growing cycle by cycle. And if you are a long-term investor into altcoins, which is difficult on its own, you want to see longevity in the project. And Cardano, for example, from its previous bear market, where we were sitting before its rise to around 70 cents, which I believe we're at 70 to 80 cents American, where we are right now. Excuse me, I'm getting tongue-tied. But we were sitting in the 20 to 30 to 40 cent zone in this bear market. Meanwhile, Cardano was in the 0 to 10 cent price zone in the previous bear market. So we're seeing which altcoins can stand the test of time better than others. And it's kind of rough that I'm comparing Cardano to a meme coin, but you got to understand that people are going to put their money into meme coins because they believe they can make fast money. And let me ask you this, as an altcoin investor, are you willing to put a certain amount of money into a meme coin to risk losing it all, either over a short period of time or a long period of time, in comparison to leaving your money in an altcoin like Cardano that can get pretty rough during a bear market, but when the price starts to increase, like we've seen now, see that buy order that you made at about 20 to 30 to 40 cents. Now we're seeing it at around 80 cents. So you have already doubled your money if you've been buying in those price zones, but you're not necessarily as nervous about waking up the next day and seeing Cardano completely going belly up or rug pull, like you may see with some of these other meme coins or very small altcoins with very small market caps. So there's a lot to consider in crypto. There's a lot of weighing, there's a lot of putting one crypto on one side of the scale and one on another, let alone deciding how many different cryptocurrencies you want to be invested into in general. So tough decisions to make. You gotta keep your nose to the grindstone. You gotta keep working, and you gotta keep paying attention to cryptocurrency. For example, let's say the markets take a turn for the worse in the next couple months, or even the next year or so, and we don't see any positive price action excuse me, for any of the cryptocurrencies that you've been investing into for the next year. You have to understand that every market can go through a lull, and paying attention to cryptocurrency in general during these times, you're going to build conviction for certain coins, and throw the idea out that you would even invest into certain coins away altogether. So, you know, there's a million different ways to go from 0 to a million, but I believe if you keep watching my videos and keep hearing my perspectives, and we share our perspectives as we go along, it'll be a much easier task to achieve.